To the left, to the left. Everything you own in a box to the left. If, please don't, if I bought it, then please don't touch. Please keep talking that mess, that's fine. But could you walk and talk at the same time, man? Grab your keys. Hurry up before your taxi leaves. Hey, child. You want to talk about confidence? Confidence is saying I could have another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute. Now, let's be honest for a minute. In 2006, 2007, I think that's about when this song came out. How many times did you play this song to get over somebody you did not really think was replaceable? The gag about this song is that most of us who had to play with it over and over again weren't really sure we could find someone to replace them. But that's all right. Because if we wanted to have another you in a minute, possibly, who knows, okay? Nature says, why does SJR think she can sing? Why would you say I cannot sing? First of all, check your heart. Check your heart about why you would kill your sister's dream. Why would you come in here killing my dream and we just started? Huh? Christina says, hey, Pastor Sarah. Hey, girl. Hey. Okay. Listen, Cassie says, you can't sing just like me. Wow. Is that how we're going to do it? Is that how we're going to do it? Lydia Cohen says, I played it last year, but I will never, ever again moving forward. LOL. Hashtag glow up. Let me tell you. Sherelle says, I feel I don't want no scrub in my spirit. I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that hanging all up for me. Hanging off the passenger side of his best friend's ride. Trying to holler at me. I'm taking requests. If you cannot tell, I am taking requests. The peculiar person says, I am so glad to be catching a live and the audio makes sense from the get-go. It's a blessing. I love you so much, Esha. Thank you. We had a backup plan just in case the audio wasn't hitting, but it sounds like we're doing all right. So you all can hear my song perfectly. You're trifling, good for nothing type of Wi-Fi. Oh, silly me, why haven't I found another like Charter, Spectrum? When times get hard, you try to take me out instead of the delegation gon' whoop your butt. You're trifling. Let me tell you something. The moment I started let me tell you something. This is a word. The moment you start operating in your gift, your undercover gift, just know that there will be haters. Your undercover gift will be shut down by haters. But don't let that keep you from uncovering your gift. Do you understand what I'm saying? As I was saying, I'm taking requests. Someone requested bills, and bills is what you got. Aaron says, hey, your Facebook Live cut out. We know, child. I was right in the middle of lifting up my mighty song, okay? I was doing scrubs, and then I segued into bills, because, yes, Christina's undercover gift. Yes, singing is one of my undercover gifts. Is that? Wow, I thought we were good there, but I guess we weren't good there. Everyone's on the same page now. Latoya says, my voice is angelic. Angelique says, but sis, let's be sure it's a gift. Tasha says, can we get a new singer? But how are we? How are we going to walk together unless we be agreed? And I just don't. Macy Gray, I try to walk away and not stumble. Though I try and hide it, it's clear. My work can something when you are not here. If that was not the best Macy Gray singing you've heard, you're lying on a Monday or Wednesday or whenever you listen to this podcast. You're lying. You love that Macy Gray. What are y'all doing? What is happening in your world? Okay. Um, Sistries, Sissy says no hate, but sometimes your undercover gift should stay under the cover. Why? Imani says we agree with your sermon. Whatever. I will not be, and I will not be silenced. I will always sing this song when we open up this podcast. Regina says preparing for a Zoom call. We are wishing you no Wi-Fi issues like I have all of the time when just trying to be a good person and do the podcast on time. What's going on in y'all's world? Are we drinking water? Are we minding our business? What are you accepting in your life? Okay. Last week we talked about accepting truth. Okay. The truth, the hard truth, the ugly truth, the beautiful truth. This week we're talking about confidence. I've got a few stories that I think are going to speak into this accepting confidence. Hopefully we'll rescue them. If not, I definitely have a snack. Gabby says, I had shrimp last week and couldn't stop chuckling thinking about roaches of the sea. I tried to tell y'all, if you don't accept my singing, maybe you don't accept my veganism either. What you need to accept, though, for sure, shrimp are the roaches of the sea. Now, still eat them. But I just want you to know, Brittany White says, sis, you sung that better than Macy Gray, honestly. And this is the kind of corner that you need, okay? Cheryl says, last week we talking about roaches. What is this week top? Who knows where this week will take us, okay? Marie says, I'm here at physical therapy listening. Well, big ups to you. Listen to what your instructor is saying, but also get these giggles. What is happening in your life, okay? Um, Cassie says fine line between confidence and pride, ego. Okay. That's true. There is a difference. Champagne says your version of veganism isn't realistic. Honestly, I feel like I'm being attacked. Honestly, I'm feeling like there's not unity in this podcast already. Okay. So I will be honest, okay? I am not a vegan. Additionally, because accepting truth, okay? Additionally, I am not a singer. I know that I've known this for a long time that I wasn't a singer and also that I wasn't vegan. But what I will say is this, I enjoy singing anyway. And just because my gift has not been affirmed or validated doesn't mean that it can't be used for a few giggles. I personally enjoy singing with my whole heart, even though it sounds terrible. And if you need some joy in your life, Tasha says, girl, we know. Oh, okay. Wow. Um, So what I will say is this, just because you can't do something doesn't mean you can't do something. You know what? You know what I mean? Because like I enjoy it. It's fun for me. I laugh at myself when I do it and I won't be silent. So maybe you'll just have to skip like the first 30 seconds if you don't want to hear me singing, but don't miss it. First of all, y'all know I have been singing some throwbacks that just reminded you of a time when you were evening. And now you're not evening anymore, but them songs remind you of when you was even, and that is my joy, okay? Kami says, I'm struggling with being vegan. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, and I know it takes a lot of work because I have tried, okay? I have tried. But I have found that when you really like work some recipes, that you don't have to miss it. Go on Woman Evolve TV, get the trial. Brita is teaching us how to make vegan recipes. So eat your vegetables, eat that tofu, eat the stuff that makes it hard. But every now and then swing through with a bomb vegan recipe that keeps you on track. Ashley Tate says, "Oh, I live in Eve." Ashley, come out from amongst them. Come out from amongst Eve. It's fine. Okay, so like I said, what's going on in your world? Are you drinking your water? Are you minding your business? Tanisha says, wait, some of us are still even. Come out from even. And Anna says, Sarah, vegan life is rough and very expensive. You ain't never lied. Let me tell you, because like I could not make everyone, my household will not be vegan. And I cook for 1,000 people. It's 1,000 people who live here. And so, which means I would need to still cook dinner for them and also be vegan for myself. And even if they were willing to be vegan, I can't afford for them to all be vegan unless we just going to be like eating fruit off of trees. And even fruit is expensive. Honeycrisp apples are $2. $2 for an apple. Okay, y'all thinking $2 for an apple ain't bad. Y'all must not have 1,000 people to feed. If everybody in my house have an apple a day for a snack, it ain't like that's a meal. That's $16 if I'm still hungry. Okay? I'm not here for it. Rakesh says Beyond Burgers are so nice. I made Sha an Impossible Burger yesterday. She loved it. Okay. So I've tried to ask you all a few times what's happening in your world. Christina says, my dancing is a whole undercover struggle gift. That's all right. Can I ask y'all a question? What is your undercover gift? Shaw has a powerful undercover singing gift. And I don't even know why she sits here and cringes. If y'all don't follow Shanice at the real Shanice Jones, if y'all don't follow her on Instagram, Shanice loves to get on her Insta story and give you prime auntie vibes. She throwbacks and she hold the phone up so you can see her dancing, and she got her arm swinging in the back like where the money reside. Like she put her arm up in the back. So what we're not going to do is act like we don't function in areas where we don't be, called to function. Okay? How about that? Farisa says, I'm starting with fruits and vegetables this week. Let's be in prayer for one another. Delegation, let's be in prayer. Natalie, I love you. Did you see what Natalie Janice says? Natalie says, it's impossible to eat a burger made of vegetables. And I love it. And I love to see it. Okay. Luana says, I'm eating a plant-based pescatarian. I love it. No, you're going to feel amazing, honestly. Sherelle says, my undercover gift is a comedian or rapper. Thank you all for helping me. So also one of my not so undercover, I will say it's low key. So there's like undercover, low key, and high key. One of my low key gifts is rapping. Okay. I've got hand movements. I know I've got a whole little, I can catch a rhythm. Okay. I can catch a beat a little bit. Okay. So that is one of my low keys, but operate in your joint. Kami says poetry, dancing, and singing. Live. Okay. Keyshawn and Michelle says y'all gonna stop coming for SJR voice, and I appreciate it. Okay. All right. Listen. So, y'all already know what time it is. It is time. Vania says, Shanice, pin your IG tag because I already forgot it. It is at, you don't want me to say it again? It's not the real no more? What is it? It's at Shanice M. Jones. At Shanice, SHANIECE Jones, JONES. When can we expect another performance from you? At Shanice M. Jones. When? Don't post my. Oh, okay. If you post mine, all right. Anywho, listen. Ella turned 6 over the weekend. We had a birthday party. Quarantine family. Yeah, it was just us sitting at the house. We had Minnie Mouse come over. She had on we found somebody who would dress up as Minnie Mouse and put her whole face under a mask because we not playing with the viruses and things. And it was a blessed time. But Minnie tried to take us through a little dance routine, but I had to put a little swag on mine, okay? I had to put a little stank on it, okay? Because that's what you need to do sometimes. All right, listen. Moving on. It is time for us to get this show on the road. Okay, we got to get this road on the show. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, Anna put it in the chat in YouTube at Shanice M. Jones. There it is. Follow her and watch these auntie vibes, and she will lead you into pure auntie-hood with the moves, and we love it. Taki says, we seen Minnie Mouse getting her walk on. Minnie Mouse was walking. I sent the video to my cousin. My cousin says Minnie is doing the walk challenge, and let me tell you one more thing. It was very difficult for me to just catch a snippet of what could be appropriate. When I looked up the walk song challenge by Saucy Santana. I said my word. My word. But then I still went on and put 3 seconds of it. The 3 seconds is clean. I went on there while Minnie Mouse was walking. All right, listen. Okay, so let's get into the get down. All right, so some of you are live for the first time. Get into the comment section. We want to hear from you. We need your opinion. It's time to rescue some people, okay? And like I said, this week's theme, the whole month, we're talking about acceptance, but specifically this week, we want to talk about accepting confidence. And I have some stories where I feel like that confidence was ringing high, but we have to determine whether or not we could even stretch to that level of confidence. Now, I'm going to let you know, based off of how I was being dragged over my singing, I'm not confident that the saints are going to want to bring this level of stretching to the rescue stories. But who am I? Let's see. The View. Okay, this week, Democrat Van Jones appeared on The View and was interviewed by a pair of the show's co-hosts, Sunny Hostin and Ana Navarro, where he was chastised for his prior political actions. People in the black community don't trust you anymore, Hostin flatly told Jones, who was black. Hostin said Jones was perceived as being a political opportunist and chameleon who provided racial coverage for former President Donald Trump. Jones has spoken frequently about Trump's contributions to the black community, including what he says is Trump's support of opportunity zones, historically black colleges and universities, and prison reform. Okay. Jones seemed surprised by the charge and said, I don't think that's true. Then he says, my entire life has been about bringing people together to solve tough problems for the people at the bottom who don't have anything, Jones continued, adding that his support for prison reform and the release of prisoners of color necessitated working with Republicans. I'm going to keep doing it with whoever's in the White House. You know, I love this story because, you know, Van Jones did what a lot of us struggle with doing. And I'm not even going to say that I've mastered it because I am very much so an all or nothing person. He found a way to be in a relationship with an administration he did not necessarily fully agree with because his purpose was greater than the tension of working with the administration. Now, let me tell you something. You talking about somebody who will bite off their nose despite their face? You ain't never heard that before? Don't bite off your nose despite your face. It means if you get mad at your face, don't bite off your nose despite. Yeah, don't bite off your. Why do people say this? Don't bite off your nose. It's what I said, Shanice. Don't bite. If you get upset with your face, don't bite off your nose. Everyone knows this. Am I saying it wrong? This is a whole thing. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Janae says, let's rescue Jones. I love that. Terrence says, it's don't cut off your nose despite your face. But that's the same thing. You brought that cut in like it was different than biting. It's still a nose without a face, and I still don't fully, because if I get mad at my face and I cut off my nose, then I showed my face who was boss. But then I'm walking around without a nose. Wow, look at that. Okay. Anywho, Van Jones lives by this because he didn't cut off his nose despite his face because he need his nose to smell and for prison reform. Jay says, I've never heard it. Terrence says, it's still a nose without a face. That's what I'm saying. Angie says, yes, you need your nose, so don't get rid of it because it's useful. That's right. Anywho, can we save Van Jones? Van Jones, okay? Can we save Van Jones? He found a way to make it happen. So, delegation, what say you? Can we rescue? For us, it says rescued. Okay, Z says rescue. Courtney says rescue. Cassie says, my papa used to say, got your nose now. Ronnie says, no rescue. Unika says, it is still a face. They laughing at me. Dominique says, I heard it but never understood it. I obviously didn't understand it either when I slowed it down. Erica says, rescue. We need individuals to stand when so many leave it up to someone else. Yes, you know, like Van Jones is out here doing the hard work. I felt like even though the administration had a lot of areas where growth and compassion and empathy could have made a huge difference, he was able to somehow like keep focused on what really mattered in spite of the potential areas. Like, I don't know, when I watched the whole video, he basically said what was in that quote, which is like the people who are in prison, they don't care who's president. They're trying to get help. They need someone who doesn't mind standing up to hard people and to make sure that goal is being met. And I felt like Van Jones was really wise and able in the way that he was able to do that. And I understand how sometimes when we don't fool with somebody, we don't want anybody to fool with them. But I thought it was dope how he kept his eyes on the prize. Shay says he was a strong Trump supporter and it was not all about prison reform, no rescue. Vanessa says rescue him. Jessica Story says, I don't know about this one. He gets a strong side eye from me. Strong side eye. Natalie says, nope, he gets an Impossible Burger and some flip-flops. How could you not love the delegation? How? I just don't understand how we cannot. Dominique says, send him the yacht. Madonna says, Van has gotten so many chances to get it right, but yet he is definitely a political opportunist. Interesting. Now I have to admit that hold on. Rescue, they were rude to him, and it's pronounced Hostin, like hostile. The ah sound. Gotta look out for our fearlessly. Come on, Hostin, not hosting. Host. I put host because host in. That's how it was spelled. And I'm just out here. But now I know Hostin, like hostile. Teach us on today. Rachel says he double hockey sticks. Guys, okay. All right. So how about this? Can we consider an Impossible Burger and water skis? Can we give Van some water skis? Abby says rescue the nose quote. That's not, can I call you back? Because that one is not up for debate right now. Can we rescue, my thoughts? I say we rescue with water skis and an Impossible Burger. That's what I say. Angenique says, LOL. Smoothie says he was definitely not a Trump supporter. That's crazy talk. Okay. Terrence says, I vote for water skis for sure. I like water skis. They look fun. They look complicated, but they also look like they could get the job done. I like water skis. Okay. Asia says, definitely water skis. Michael McFadden says, if I can't let my brother sink, send him a boat. All right. Water skis. We have decided Impossible Burger and water skis. Now, some of the delegation has said no. I see them. They're saying no. But this is what I'm going to say, okay? Let's say we agree to disagree on this one, just like we decided about my singing. How about that? Unique says, no, but a floaty, he has to blow up and he can get an Impossible Burger for strength. I also like that. Water skis, and what we'll do is we'll put the floaty in the water, and if it float over to him as well, he'll have something he can blow up on the water skis, but he might have to choose between the water ski and the Impossible Burger. But if he put that Impossible Burger in the water and still eat it, bet it tastes the same, right, Shaw, or not, Shaw? No? All right, so we are going to try that, and we're going to see what happens. Ashley says, how many Browns can water ski, though? That's drowning. If you're not, Ashley, why would you call us Browns? Why would you call us Browns? What is wrong with these people? All right, so we're going to give water skis with a floaty close by and an Impossible Burger because we appreciate the prison reform. We're benefiting from the prison reform, and sometimes you be out here. So Jade Roper Tolbert recently admitted that she doesn't want to mom today while battling intrusive thoughts. Jade Roper Tolbert took to Instagram to share that she was struggling to balance being a mom of 2 young kids and a newborn. 11 weeks of no sleep, and to be honest, I don't want to mom today. That sentence alone is so powerful. When I read this story, I said to myself, I know this sentence very well. Terrence says, rescue her. That I don't want to mom today. Have you ever decided I don't want to work today? I don't. I have been so tired that it was like I don't want to eat today. I just want to stay in bed. My stomach be growling. I'm like growling. Be quiet. I don't want to eat today. Sherelle says rescue because I don't want to teach her mom today or tomorrow. When are we going to want to again? Can I tell you? Can we talk about it real quick? Shy says it is. Isn't mommy depression? She's stressed. Okay, let me finish reading it. Tolbert's Instagram post began, yet here I am right now typing and having a kid's electric toothbrush thrown in my face, literally, whoop 'em, turning it on and off for the millionth time because it makes Brooks happy. Sweet. And only mama can turn it on and off, she continued. I've become more resilient this time around to letting the little expectations go, but the sleep deprivation during the newborn stage is brutal and I've hit my wall. Sleep deprivation is terrible. There was a moment when Ella was a baby where I literally thought I will never sleep again. Okay. Alani says, I tell my kids I changed my name from Monty. Oh my gosh, I do that too. They're like, Mommy, Mommy. I'm like, she's not here. I don't know where she went. And do you know what? I started answering to names of incredible historical black women just because why not? Have you ever decided to mess with your kids the way they mess with you? So when I don't answer to Mommy after a few times, they're like, Michelle Obama. Madam CJ Walker. I'm like, keep digging, not her. And you know what? It forces them to do more research on their history. Okay, you've heard about the feelings box, but let's talk about Black History Month. Teach your children Black history by only answering to Black history people. Okay, legends, icons. Okay, that's what I do. Fashion Jazz says rescue her 2 kids and child. When I say rescue her, Monica says this baby needs a rescue and is her husband helping at all? Kids are exhausting. Kendra says I don't have kids, so no. Miranda says no sleep is really the ghetto. It's the no sleep part. I can do anything through Christ as long as I have sleep. When I don't have sleep, I'm limited. And like that throwing a toothbrush at my head, I become literally a totally different person. Like when Ella was a baby and then she started biting the box. You want to talk about the box? The box says if you throw this toothbrush at me one more time, I'm gonna knock. Do you see what you do with no sleep? No. What I would say if my child was throwing the toothbrush at me and I was living in the highest version of myself in my feelings box, I would say I can understand how that seems like a lot of fun for you, but it's actually hurting mommy. And I know you love mommy and you don't want to hurt mommy, right? Okay, so let's not throw it at mommy. Let's throw it at the pillow. Maybe we could throw it at daddy and he could come help. But let's not throw it at me, okay? Kardasha says no sleep is the ghetto. Amen. Nancy says rescue her ASAP. She needs a helicopter. She needs a helicopter. She needs a spa treatment. She needs can we get shirts that say I can do anything through Christ as long as I have sleep? Please. Call me back. All right. Shay says rescue her with a jet and send her straight to the spa for some pampering and me time. Agreed. Natalie says, y'all, my feelings box would be at Chick-fil-A. Rachel says throw it one more time and I'm throwing it back. That's what I do if I had kids. Let me tell you, when I say one time Ella was running around the house with a wooden spoon talking about she was going to give me a pow pow, and then she actually popped me and I took that wooden spoon back and I popped her right on her tail. I popped her right on her tail. And it wasn't one of them cute ones that you do when you pretending that you're giving a pow pow. I hit her with force right on her tail. Not that much force, not child abuse force, but enough force to make that booty sting a little bit, make it burn a little bit. And then she was like, you hurt me. She couldn't even cry because she was so shocked. I said, you hurt me. Now we both hurt. Now I need a feelings box. So how about that? Evie says the breastfeeding when the kid has teeth make you forget. You be breastfeeding your children and they bite down and you forget you for a minute. Your reflexes don't know you a mother. And your reflexes be like, all up on your child a little bit. And that's, that's all right. Okay, so Chai says throw the life jacket to her. We're going to throw her the life jacket. Dominique says rescue her ASAP. She needs the works. Hotel, stay by herself. Yes. Sharon says that's what I'm talking about, Sarah. Sometimes you gotta pop them. Sometimes, but they pop them back is what I'm saying. Pop them back. Ashley Tate says I get tired of blinking if I'm not careful. Finger up. I cannot imagine it. To blink and be exhausted. Sherelle says SJR needs a vacation, and she's never lying. She's never lying. Okay, so let's rescue her. The delegation agrees. Y'all, this next story, I'm going in the deep. I'm going in the deep. Influencer Juliana Carlos is apologizing for heckling LeBron James during the Lakers game against the Hawks in Atlanta on Monday. Juliana, who was kicked out of the game after she stood up and removed her mask to yell at the athlete, shared a statement on Instagram Tuesday saying she took responsibility for her actions. She said about last night, to say things escalated quickly at yesterday's game is an understatement. And I want to apologize for losing my cool and removing my mask in the heat of the moment. I saw a video, okay, of her talking about how LeBron came at her husband and she didn't care who LeBron was. If somebody comes at her man, she was like, what kind of girl would I be if I sat there while somebody was coming at my man? Now, delegation, I have a question for you. And I want to know if I'm a bad wife. Because if my husband is getting into it with another man, unless it looks like the man has won up to my man, I'm pretty much gonna mind my business. Like in the movies where the man and the bad guy be fighting and the girl's in the corner, you know, and then and then the bad guy knock your man out and then and she's sitting over there like that. Like I would never let that happen. If we beat them down, we beat them down together. But if two grown men having an argument and a conversation, like what I look like jumping in, first of all, for me, it makes me feel like my man, like I'm trying to say my man can't handle himself unless my mouth is in it. Am I bad for that? But we should rescue her because maybe I'm bad. Maybe I'm not on my game the way I need to be. Jay says he can handle it on his own. Terrence says, I saw the video too. She played herself. Her 80-year-old husband was not about to fight. It wasn't that deep. The delegation be having all the stuff. Rayvon says, I'm staying in my place. I'm not about to fight no man. First of all, not only am I not going to fight a man, I'm not going to fight LeBron James. like, if you bring me a little short man with, like, you know, who look a little fragile, but who stands up to LeBron James, somebody 6'13", and says that you're going to mess them up? How do we do that? How could we? I don't see it happening but you talking about accepting confidence. This is what I'm saying. I'm wrong or she's wrong, because there's something to be said about her saying, I don't care who you are. If you run up on my man, you going to get dealt with. Okay. LeBron James or not. Okay. There's something to it. Chanel says she can't sit at our table, sis. No. Lydia says she doesn't get rescued because that's the same Karen behavior they pull on us out in the street and they play scared when the police come. The factuals. Okay. Marcia says, I'm with you, SJR. Rayvon says, right, he's going to step on my 5-1 behind. Nancy says, move on. She not getting it from this delegation. Is there another delegation anywhere who would maybe consider it? Nikki says, agreed. My man is very strong. I don't worry about him handling. I have never been in a situation where I felt like my husband, now, if my husband's talking to another woman and she pops fly, you've called my name. And I am here to answer. Now, you pop off on him and you a woman? You need a woman to talk to. But I am not getting in between two men. What I look like? I can't imagine it. Ray said she probably was drinking courage juice. Rescue. Hot mess. Come on, she want to rescue. Anna says no rescue. Adrian says nope. Okay. Dominique says nuck if you buck for my husband. Brianna says right. Reva the Diva says that's big different. Nessa says she had to protect her bag. Jasmine says you've called my name. If you're going off on my husband, you have rang my telephone and I am answering. Okay. D says, a hit dog will holler. Jessica says, yes, I love you. SJR is riding big time. So are we rescuing? Unique says, exactly, says, don't come for my man, girl. You finna catch these hands. Don't ever, and not low key, like, that also goes for my mother. Because my mother has lived long enough. You know what? My mother is at an age where she shouldn't have to pick up any dust bunnies. You know what I'm saying, Sha? No dust bunnies. No dust bunnies. My mother's at an age where she doesn't do dust bunnies anymore. I do. I do. I still have my duster out. But no, I don't. Tabitha says send the jet, but she got to be on Basketball Wives next season as a pop-up. Okay. Danielle says still no rescue. Marcia says 1-on-1, he got it. But if the congregation show up, then it's Vaseline time for sure. Okay. Erin said she gets no rescue. She was too crazy with it. Okay. Not doing that. Kiki's critique said you better say that. That one won't get that business. But two grown men, not even. Okay. Mary says let the men be. So we're not going to rescue. Guess that's a no. Guess we're not going to do that. That's fine. All right then. So I guess we'll move on. Let me see. Unapologetically me V says I was a ride or die wife for my husband, and yes, if a woman pops off at him, that would have been my cue to pop off, but he can handle a man for sure. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Guess we're not doing that. Y'all have been waiting, and I have been waiting. And the time has come for us to no longer wait. Should I do what is in between here, or should I just move on to it, Shaw? Okay, guys. Okay, here's the thing. I blame Got to Be Glued. I blame Got to Be Glued because it's confusing. If there's anyone to blame here, the blame is on Got to Be Glued. When I first heard that people were putting Got to Be Glued on their wig, I saw it on YouTube, and I said, because I had a time in the 2000, it's like 2005 to probably about 2008, where I was gluing my tracks in. And I was pulling them tracks out, and my hair was coming right out with them tracks. So when I heard about Got to Be Glued, I was like, oh no, I've done that before. And they're like, it's not glue, it's gel. I can see how we could end up in a situation where you say to, and then y'all got Gorilla Snot. Don't act like we don't know how this happened. Come on, as a community, let's come together. We know how this happened. We got to Be Glued, and we got Gorilla Snot. In a time of desperation, how bad could it be? We found out. We found out because Gorilla Glue is so strong that you can put it on a chair. You could put a whole chair together and sit your whole self in that chair, and it will hold you up. That's how strong it is. Gorilla Glue is not for your scalp. It's not for your scalp. And a member of the delegation, she doesn't even know it. She found out the hard way. She found out the hard way, Sha. She found out the hard way. When I first saw it, I thought I had a giggle because I was like, Gorilla Glue, Got to Be Glued. I see how we got here. And then when I realized just how bad this is, it wasn't. Can we please rescue our good sis who put Gorilla Glue on her hair? I mean, Tanashi says, no, she used industrial glue. There is no rescue. Angelique says she's a grown adult with 2 adult kids. No rescue. Lordly says, CC Cashmere, who is we? Ain't part of that movement. Oh, never was never. I missed it. I missed what she says. Tamika says, why was she even hair coming straight out of it out if it ever loosens? I'm at this point because one, I will say it worked. Her hair is laid to the scalp. Okay? Her hair is laid to the scalp. That's not Eco Styler gel. Her hair is laid to the scalp. Okay? It worked. Which means that loosening up is probably going to take a little scalp. I just, but I see how we got here. Blah, blah, blah says, I just came in and I'm already saying no. Ashley says, rescue the baby. Thank you. Alani says, rescue these people. Yanan says, I'm going to rescue because something has to be abnormal to even think that. Megan says, she not my sis, LOL. Zia says, first of all, she literally denied every form of help and she said she didn't want to help and she didn't want help, but now she want to sue. She's going to sue Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue, please. I don't have my law degree. I have my doctorate degree from last week's episode. But if I could get my law degree, I feel like I could take this case. Stephanie says, do y'all think she knew what she was getting herself into? It's hard to believe she was completely clueless. I don't think she was completely clueless, but I do think she felt like, how bad could it be? You know what I mean? Because like nail glue, like you know how nail glue, you put a little nail glue on your hands or on your fingers and it comes off. Your hand be a little hard in that spot for a few days, but then eventually like a miracle, it goes away. I think that that's what she thought was going to happen with that Gorilla Glue. But that Gorilla Glue told hell no. Okay, that Gorilla Glue said, I'm here to stay. Brandy says she has no case. Simply AC says sis went to the ER and they gave her acetone. That video is even worse. It's got to be terrible. Marie says rescue her, please. I would like to rescue. Dominique says rescue Gorilla Glue because they was minding their business. Now, I was going to alternatively say, can we rescue Gorilla Glue? Because, you know, Gorilla Snot got to be glued. It's all very confusing. And all they said was put your chair together, okay? All they said was just put this wood together, glue something to your wall. You know what I mean? Glue some fabric together. They never said put it on your scalp, okay? Nisha says she does not, my thing is scrolling so fast I can't see. She does not get a rescue in Jesus' name. Okay. Angelique says she made a conscious, I will not read that out loud. Tabitha says, right, I can understand the bow bad. Could it be logic? She just a little off. Right, I can understand that. How bad could it be logic? That's what I think. I think it was like really one of those like, how bad could it be? Like maybe I'm going to have to deep condition a little bit. I may have to steam it, but wow, we were off. Deep says, plus her hair was laid on her IG. How do you from slaying to being crazy? People can slay and be crazy. Hello, one of them. Hello. Hello. Slaying don't mean you're not crazy. Sometimes. Sadie says Gorilla Glue was just minding their business. Sometimes you can't slay because you're too busy not being crazy. That's why I get on this, but I be crazy on this podcast, so that's not a good example. But if I had to slay every day and show up for my life, I would be craziest. Okay. Dezo says, let's rescue the poor baby. We know she ain't gonna do it again. That's for sure. Tasha Ann says Gorilla Glue was minding their business in the hardware section. Emphasis on hardware. Nancy Skeeter says the barber can save her with clippers. We can't rescue. I was thinking even the barber though, because like your hair needs to be up, you know what I mean? CC Cashmere said, listen, I put Nair on my eyebrows thinking it wasn't going to be bad and had an allergic reaction next morning with red bumps everywhere. Life be out here and you be thinking to yourself, how bad could it be? How bad could it be? When I was a child, I shaved all of my eyebrows off with a razor, like a leg razor. Because when I was a child, I was like 11 or 12, and y'all had just started arching your eyebrows, and I always wanted to be in. I always wanted to be a part of the crowd, and so I said, oh, if we shaving eyebrows, I got you. And I took my eyebrows off, And I walked out the room as if it never happened. And because I didn't know, I thought maybe no one would pay attention. And I just thought, I'm going to just go out here and act normal. And my mother said, Sarah, have y'all ever heard my mother speak? Sarah, what happened to your eyebrows? That's when I let her know. Okay. Zia says SJR, she 4912. I knew y'all was going to catch me on that age limit, but that's fine. Reva the Diva says she got to wait till that new growth hit. Yeah, she's exactly. She's going to have to wait till that new growth, and then the barber can maybe do something. I bet she could just let it grow out, because the hair is going to puff up. If she lets it grow, but it's been that way for a month. Is it going to grow with that Gorilla Glue on top of it? Is it going to give new growth? Because all she needs is like one of them, I sleeked my hair back for a Miami South Beach night, and then the humidity got me so it puffed up. She just need a little puff up back there, and then she could probably just really take it on off like that. Because I'm worried about the skin. I'm worried about the skin on this thing, okay? Andrew says, me too, LOL, but I was 21. They need to be more clear about how they're shaving their eyebrows. Anna says, you know how long it takes for eyebrows to grow back? I do. That's why I went and got mine microbladed, because I'm still waiting on them to recover. Oh, Nessa says she has already got it off. Shut your mouth, Holy Ghost. Hold on, let me go on here. She got it off? Hey, y'all, I just want to take this time right now to thank everybody that has been praying for me since day one. Half the people I don't even know. I swear on everything. I wish I could come to everybody one by one and give you a big hug. I've been trying to answer all calls, texts, and inboxes, but it's a lot. So right now I'm sending a virtual hug. Okay, let me see. But did we get it? Let me go on the Insta story. Amen, she got it off. Can y'all send me a thing of her with it off? All right. But listen, Arena says she went to the ER. I know, but then the ER gave her some acid. Never mind. Okay. Never mind. Jay Lunkman said she said thank you, but she didn't post a photo on IG. And if I would have just stayed on the comments instead of going on Instagram, I could have done that. Shaquay says, if you've ever wondered if you're saved, shut up, Holy Ghost, LOL. That's saved. And you don't even know how often I say that. Vinny says, see, now she don't need a rescue. Cheers to a big old next. All right, well, next, moving on. I guess we'll move on. All I will say is that I thought that she got the acetone, but they hadn't taken it off. You know what, though? After this, I bet she's going to spend a lot of time just recovering, because we don't know where this is headed. And she's going to, oh, D says, I saw a picture, but not sure if it was her, but she's bald. Because when people get on here, then they start putting all of these different pictures and Photoshop and stuff. We don't know. Oh, Adia says she sent me the after pic. Where did you send it to? You sent it to my text messages. You sent it to my DM-erations. Where you send it to? You sent it to my text. There it is. Is that her? That's not her. That's not her. Is that her? I don't know. Y'all, this podcast is trash. All right, listen. Thank you for sending that to my DM-erations. I went and saw it. Listen, let me tell you something. Homegirl gonna be at the house recovering from this. She's world famous. She don't know what is happening yet next. She don't know what that scalp situation is going to be. While she's sitting at the house, I have a suggestion. My suggestion is that she goes on Skillshare. If she goes on Skillshare, take the remaining Gorilla Glue and take a Woodworks class over on Skillshare, because Woodworks is going to show how to Gorilla Glue, and then you're going to be like, wow, there's still a place in the kingdom for the Gorilla Glue. That transition wasn't good. Well, I wanted to put it above, and then you told me not to, so I had to just pull from what I had. This is actually your fault. Skillshare is an online learning community where literally thousands upon thousands of people come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and more. Class topics include graphic design, photography, creative writing, crafts, in which you can use your Gorilla Glue. I was saying she's already got the tools, and then you Skillshare, like I mentioned, it's where millions come together to take the next step. They offer thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, all of those things I just named. Okay. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project, a project that you can do at home, like homework. Okay. It has classes to fit your schedule and skill level. Beginners, get on top of this. Now, I already told you all, there is one of the reasons why I love Skillshare the most is that I am tired of my children watching TV or looking at me. If that baby who's got them two babies and a newborn, she need to put that newborn in front of Skillshare. Learn how to not throw toothbrushes. I don't know if they have classes for infants. I'm just saying. It is a great aftercare program, and my children have benefited from it greatly. Okay. There are multiple class topics that would appeal to any of your senses and creative urges. So get on there, start learning. Let me tell you something about education. It really is shifting. No longer do you have to go to school to learn how to do something. There is a class that is there to teach you whatever it is you want to learn, and you can learn it now and quickly and at your own pace. Skillshare is also incredibly affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops. Okay. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/evolve and get a free trial of premium membership. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/evolve and get a free trial of premium membership. Vania says, I'm crying. That was the best transition ever. Woodwork. See, this is what I'm saying. Queen Fashion says, how much? You're getting free premium membership if you put in our code. Okay. How about that? Ashley says, Sherelle Stanley, did she ask her team? Sis dived in it mighty deep confidently. Oh, I miss what Sherelle says. Okay. So how about that? Skillshare says I should teach, not Skillshare. Nat says you should do something on there. I should have a Skillshare class. What should my Skillshare class be about? Singing? It could be for singing. Vocal lessons. I could do vocal lessons on Skillshare. I can share my skill of singing. All right. So y'all get that free premium membership and stop sitting at the house scrolling on Instagram feeling like I should do something with my life. Do something. Hail Mary. All right. Hail Mary is when we take some time and we just acknowledge people out here who are doing a whole thing. Okay. Amanda Seales is one of them. I saw this article from Exo Nicole, and it's about Amanda Seales talking about why marriage isn't a priority for some Black women. Amanda Seales is a businesswoman, a comedian, and host. Through her comedy, she has perfected the art of interchangeably mixing cultural and political conversations. Her primary focus being and always being protecting and advocating for the image of Black women. She's also a very savvy businesswoman. Recently, when asked about marriage and relationships, she says what comes to mind is that Black women have become very focused on our self-care and wellness. In doing so, we have really focused on making changes that the patriarchal society that we live in doesn't support yet. So typically we are ahead of the curve, and this demonstrates that. There is a revolution amongst Black women in our independence. We have done the work, but there seems to be a constant imbalance between us and what our partners are expecting of us. She continued, we live in a world that has made actual efforts toward dismantling the Black family. We are in a society that consistently undervalues us. We are constantly in a political fight that gets in the way of our romantic togetherness. I believe that our power dynamics within relationships are less about whether we are getting paid equally or doing more work. It goes deeper historically. What I loved about this is that the pressure that on Black women to get married, on women in general to get married, I think for her to kind of give voice to this idea of self-care was really important. I guess black women are getting married later in life, and the divorce rates are shrinking as a result of it. So I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that self-care is super important, and her taking the time to really have that self-care. And if she feels like that tendency is true, and it is true about other black women, then I think that that's amazing. So I made her a Hail Mary because self-care is important. All right. And I think women in general have this idea of taking care of their world. I think black women, especially in Western cultures, I've never lived anywhere else, have been kind of the head of taking care of other people's families and babies and our families and our babies, and not ourselves. And so I love this idea. Nancy Skeeter says, awesome black queen representing and promoting. Tamika Johnson says, I love seals. Terrence says, come on, self-care. Amira Holland says, I love me some Amanda Seals. That's my girl. She's no nonsense. JD Jones says, I want you to host your conference on Crowdcast. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for that. All right. I'm going to put that down. She said, I don't work for them neither. All right. I'm going to jot that down. Jasmine says, she's talking about something else. All right. So listen, that's Hail Mary for her. My next Hail Mary is for Shonda Rhimes. How many of y'all sat up there and watched Bridgerton back to back? This is a safe space. Be honest. Did you all watch Bridgerton? On Wednesday, January 27th, Netflix announced that Shonda Rhimes' latest project, Bridgerton, became the streaming service's biggest series over on Netflix, Vanity Fair reported. Netflix stated that 82 million households around the world chose to watch Bridgerton in its first 28 days. Those figures were based on subscribers who watched at least 2 minutes of a piece of content, an amount of time Netflix determined to be long enough to indicate the choice was intentional. So when speaking about this, though, where's the quote? Oh, she talked about her leaving ABC. And when she talked about leaving ABC over the Disney Pass, which if you haven't heard that story, a part of her bonus package for ABC was that she wanted an extra Disneyland pass in the one she got, and they told her, like, haven't you had enough? And she basically was like, I'm going to show you I've had enough. Okay. And she went on to do big things in Netflix with Bridgerton. How about that? Ronnie says, I just finished Bridgerton. May says, watched this season twice. J. Nicole says, I still haven't watched it, but I love her. T says, I didn't. Too much hype. LOL. Just Michelle says, I watched Bridgerton. Erica says, surely did binge. Sherelle says, I didn't, but that series is all down my face. People were talking about it, and I'm not really into like The Crown and all of those things. So I turned on one episode when I was taking my hair down, and I see why the Saints were enjoying it. The Saints are having a conniption over the Duke. Essence Haynes says, I did. The Duke is bae. Latoya says, I'm about time watching it. She's about to watch it. Maybe Tabitha says she made with Netflix was historic. Come on, and we love to see it. Pretty Hines says, I love Bridgerton, and Rose Jackson says, I love The Crown. I haven't watched those, but I heard they're amazing. All right, so the next Hail Mary is Dr. Shirley Weber makes his history as the first black Secretary of State in California. Dr. Shirley Weber was sworn in as California's new Secretary of State. Weber making history as the state's first black Secretary of State, Politico reports. Weber is a San Diego Democrat and former professor of Africana Studies at San Diego State University. She says, I'm blackity black, where she served for more than 4 decades. During that time, she spearheaded the push for low-income students of color to have opportunities in the legislature. She introducing a bill that passed last October that clears the path for reparations in California. Come on, somebody. We love to see it. Okay, J. Nicole says, come on. All right. Terrence says, come on, doctor. Crystal Burgess is giving you a hand clap, and so is Ruthie Imani says, we love to see it. You know what else we love to see? Dinner on the dinner table. And man, I got 4 ads this podcast, and you're going to get every last one of them. This is number 2. Don't you love to see dinner on the dinner table? First of all, dinner is delicious. Food is nutritious. It tastes amazing, and it tastes delicious and nutritious. I told you I had them bars. Now it's time for us to talk about HelloFresh. Don't refresh. It's coming at you. Don't go next. Here we go. Undercover gifts coming over the covers. Anywho, listen. All right. So, HelloFresh. I've told you once. I've told you twice. I think I'm about to tell you thrice. HelloFresh is where the money resides. Do you hear what I'm saying? It is delicious unto me. And that is why HelloFresh continues to be one of our sponsors, because they prove to me that they can put some meals together that will have you out here thinking that you are a real, actual chef. Kids be asking what's for dinner. Be ready to hear baked chicken, ready to hear spaghetti. And I'm like, nah, bruh. We have a maple glaze crusted chicken breast with roasted carrots and splayed potatoes. I made up the splayed part. The point is this. If you're tired of cooking the same thing over and over again, I want you to get on this Hello Fresh discount so that you can start spicing things up in the kitchen. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh offers 23 plus recipes each week, featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients so you'll never get bored. HelloFresh offers the flexibility you need with customizable orders every week. You can easily change your delivery days or food preferences and skip a week whenever you need. So here it is. Here's when you get excited, okay? Because you know what we're doing? We're giving away 10 free meals, including free shipping. Go to HelloFresh.com/WomanEvolve10 and use code WomanEvolve10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. Again, that is HelloFresh.com/WomanEvolve10 and use code WomanEvolve10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. Okay? I told y'all. Cassandra says, do you really cook, sis? I cook all of the time. Like 24/7. First of all, you're never going to believe this. And I'm not saying that this is what every woman should do. I'm going to say this is what I do in my house. I make my husband breakfast every morning. Every single morning. Every single morning I make him breakfast. And then I cook for my family of 1,000 about 5 times a week. 6. Sha says 6. I cook every night. Like I already know what I'm cooking tonight. And I do that because ordering out for 1,000 people is expensive and it's not always that good. And so I would rather us have a good meal. So honestly, I really do love HelloFresh because it helps me to kind of get out of my routine. Clarissa says, I love HelloFresh. I'm already a customer. Can I still get 10 free meals? You probably can. What you should probably do is use one of them emails that you got for one of your random things and get your 10 situations. Okay. Cassandra says, I bet you can cook. I enjoy cooking. Dee says, I haven't cooked in 5 years. And that's your prerogative. I'm not out here trying to tell anybody that what I do is what they should do. Because you know where I belong? Mind Your Business Ministries. So I'm not even out here trying to tell you, but I'm just telling you what I do. Okay. Shanti says, who are these 1,000 people? It just feels like 1,000. Shanice usually has dinner over here maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Okay. And then there are 6 children and my husband. Everybody lives at home, depending on if someone's boyfriend is over who quarantines at his house, but it keeps it safe. We just have people in and out of our house. And y'all's recipes that be calling for 4 people, I have to double that. And that's when it starts feeling like a restaurant and not just like something I do for fun. But I still enjoy it. It makes me very happy. All right. So Esper says, SJR, can you get a Tabitha Brown dishing in the kitchen episode? That would be lit. We love Auntie Tab. I'm going to work on it. Melisha says, what's the code again? I was putting dishes away. The code is Woman Evolve 10. That's 10 free meals. You can do it right now, okay? God's Grace 45 says, I cook every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You had to miss me on lunch. You had to make a way out of no way on lunch. But I got you. I got you. So I have one more Hail Mary, and then we can move to the advice question. So, a 9-year-old CEO is on a mission to inspire Black girls everywhere to love their hair. Zoe Ollie is the owner of Beautiful Curly Me, a company she started with her mom, Ivana, to empower young Black girls to love their hair. When Zoe was 6 years old, she came home asking her mom why her hair wasn't straight and pretty like the other girls in her class. That's when the two decided they would begin researching to find dolls whose hair reflected Zoe's. When they couldn't find any dolls with braids and curls, Beautiful Curly Me was born. We need to support sis. These dolls are gorgeous. And if you are a mom of a child that's got curly, coily, kinky hair, then representation is super important. They have dolls that have braids on them. They have dolls that have straight up froze, and they're actually very, very adorable. I totally relate to this idea though, raising an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. You know, when my daughter was 11, I knew very little about my hair, like, or her hair. And so she was my first girl struggle bus. We learned together. We broke off together. Come on, somebody. Edges came back together. But with my 4-year-old, I knew so much more. And she loves her natural hair. Like, she told me, like, when I get my hair done, can I just have it in an afro? Like, she loves her hair. So that's super important. Oh, this is pin the site SJR. Shaw, can you type it in there? I can't type it. Maybe you could put it on the screen. The website is beautifulcurlyme.com. We're going to see if we can put it on the page so that you all can support her. Megan says, yes, my godmom just ordered one for my daughter. That is great. Natasha says, I love this so much. Plan to get my daughters one of these dolls. So important. Naja Kanan says, yes, my 4-year-old daughter asked me to straighten her hair and I didn't know what to say. It be like that, especially when your depiction of beauty never has anyone's hair who looks like yours. And, you know, I think that we've come a long ways, especially since I was a little girl. It used to be nothing but white baby dolls. And I'm not saying that it's 50-50 right now, but I do feel like there is more equality than there probably has ever been. So that is definitely dope. We put the website on the screen and it's also in the chat. So yes, Beautiful Curly Me, check that out. Daniel King says her dolls can help me fall in love with my hair. I need to practice because I'm so impatient. Can we talk about it? Listen, the one way that I have learned to grow and take care of my hair is basically by not touching it. And most of the natural hair care bloggers basically say protective styles, keeping your hair moisturized is how you retain your hair length. That is less about my hair won't grow and more about retaining the length that I do have. And so I've had to learn to do that. And like, I got goals. Like, I want to get myself a silk press and toss it around, but I also don't want to break it off. I am so proud of the length of my hair right now that I don't want to do anything to mess it up. So braiding it down, like deep conditioning it, trimming it, braiding it down and putting my wig on is the thing that has made my hair the healthiest that it's probably ever been. But you want to talk about trauma, the trauma of natural hair and learning to love yourself and learning to love your hair be a struggle out here. Okay. That's why you got to come to a place where you want to talk about accepting confidence. We're working on Hey You for February, and Hey You for February is obviously about acceptance. And like, we're talking accepting truth, accepting confidence, accepting love, and accepting joy. But that acceptance part is so hard, especially when it comes to who you are and how you show up in the world. Acceptance that is defined as consent to receive. And I love that word because for me, acceptance translates like it's out there, but I have to sign for it. And so I'm learning to sign for my confidence. I'm learning to sign up to receive the truth. I'm learning to sign up for love and sign up for joy. And I can't wait to talk about it more for Hey You, but that's super dope. We've got some advice questions that I think are going to be super duper good for you guys to chime in on. The first one says, Dear Woman Evolve, please help me. I have a 9-month-old son who is so precious in every way. His father and I separated August 2020. Since then, I have made several attempts to keep his father in his life as he grows and hits milestones. I want so badly for my son to have a relationship with his father. I am doing all that I can to make this possible. I reach out to my son's father constantly in regards to our son. My son's father doesn't try to communicate with me about our son. I have no problem communicating, but I do not get the same in return. As mother and father, I believe there should be two-way communication. It has been 4 weeks and I have not heard from my son's father, and he has not reached out by text or call to ask about our son. This really hurts, and I want my son to have his father, but he makes no attempt to be in his life. I want so badly to co-parent, but I'm the only one trying. In the past, I've made attempts to have this conversation with his father, but no difference has been made. I feel like I am at a loss. Please help. I want my son to be loved without force. Pray for me, please. So, when it comes to the relationship dynamics of co-parenting, it can be super, super delicate because when we're no longer with a person, we still want to offer that child the best possible environment. And yet the reality is that in order to create an environment for our child, we have to welcome in an environment that we don't have control over. Sometimes that environment can be unhealthy. Sometimes that environment can just be different than what we're used to. And yet that is still a part of our child's environment. In this particular case, my suggestion is to remind yourself that co-parenting is something that each person has to be willing to do. If you're forcing your partner, your co-parent partner to co-parent, then you are parenting him, not partnering him. It's almost as if you're telling him what he should do, but you're not his parent. You're just his partner in co-parenting, which means what you can do is to bring up your child in an environment and in a consciousness that prepares him for the waves and ups and downs that may be his relationship with his father. That doesn't mean that you're bad mouthing him. It just means that when the dad does come around, you're preparing him to have the proper expectation so that he's not necessarily feeling like he's being rejected or that he's less than or not worthy because of his father's role. Saying things like, I know that your dad really loves you. He just has a different way of showing it than I do. I'm not sure where he is this weekend, but let's do something differently. Giving that child space to talk about it. How did you feel? I can understand how that would be hurtful, but I promise you that you will have mommy here and we can continue to work together. You are the only person in control of the environment that you create for your child as it relates to what you create. And in time, as your child gets older, the father is going to have to show up and perhaps answer some tough questions or perhaps not have the relationship that he thinks that he should have because he didn't put the time in. But you cannot force someone to be a parent who doesn't want to be a parent. No matter how much you want it for your child, unless that person wants it for the child too, then you're going to be forcing him to fit into a role that he doesn't want to fit in. You've got to let him show up or not show up in whatever way he chooses. And you have to prepare your child for that because that's going to be a part of his reality. As much as I would love for us to have these white picket fences with no broken home, the best thing we can do for our children is to teach them about the world that they're going to live in and not to shield them in such a way from a reality that we don't prepare them for what real life is going to be like. In real life, people are going to disappoint you. In real life, people are going to fail to meet the expectation you have in mind. In real life, people are broken. In real life, people don't know how to show up the way that they should show up or the way that we want them to show up. And so how do we continue to keep our heart pure? How do we continue to tap into the joy that is available to us and to not allow our identity to be rooted just on one person's absence or presence? That is real life work that even at 4 years old, you can begin to navigate with your child. But my suggestion would be to stop trying to make him be a parent. Stop trying to parent him into parenting and instead let him be free to engage in whatever way that he can while preparing your child for what he can expect in that way. That's my suggestion from my experience, but I want to see what the delegation says. Sherelle says, my mother forced my father and it only pushed him away, and my father never showed up like he was supposed to. God sent my godfather to be the male role model I needed, a daddy to me. Benia says, my mom has allowed my dad to do what he does, didn't parent him. That man left to get milk years ago. He comes around when he wants, and I've learned to be okay with it because my mom had to be both parents. Anna says, I agree, SJR. I agree. You can't force it. Monique says, leave it alone. That's what I did, and gave it to his. It's his loss, and hopefully he'll come around. Mine's did when I stopped trying. Qatar says, this is a whole word. Jay Nicole says, exactly. You shouldn't have to tell a grown man to be in their child's life. You shouldn't. And I know that it's coming from a good place because you want to protect your child. But at the end of the day, you're going to stress yourself out trying to parent a grown man, and you're going to miss out on the opportunity to parent your child. He's your only focus right now. And because he's your only focus, we have to determine, maybe you're spending so much energy trying to parent your partner that you don't see how his father's absence is showing up in his own emotional state. Channel that energy to something else. Help him to understand the uncles that may be around, the teachers that may be around. There's probably books and things like this that you can begin to kind of expose him to so that he can get ready to deal with the unpredictability that will be his father's presence, at least for now. God's Warrior Nene says, I gave him the child support and never looked back. Nakia says, yeah, you can't force it. My mom didn't, and my dad showed up as best as he could. And that's a part of preparing, Kim, is like the most important part of preparing your child to be in a relationship with a father that has maybe, or not just a father or mother that has erratic presence, is to teach them that with the emotional, mental, and past support that they have, that is their best. That is what they have to offer. I don't think that there are good fathers choosing to not be good fathers. I think that there are men who don't know how to be good fathers and whose uncertainty shows up in how they parent their children. But to be a good father who sees that responsibility properly and wants to steward it well, if that is who you are, then no one has to force you to do it. So the idea that they're like doing it on purpose to hurt you, like they're withholding something they do have, is kind of flawed thinking, and it makes us feel wounded. The healthier and more difficult perspective to come to is to come to a place where we recognize that this is all they have. And if this is all they have, what boundaries, what mindsets, what paradigms do I need to have to protect myself from their best? But I think there's something to seeing it as their best and not as something that they're doing on purpose. People can understand the consequences of their actions and still not be able to change their actions. Like I can understand the consequences, but you're still asking me to do something that I cannot possibly do. I mean, we know that on a human level when it comes to eating what we want or what we should not. Like we know the consequences of that, but it's difficult to stop. Imagine that coming with parenting, the pressures and responsibility of parenting. And I know the consequences may be that you're hurt without me, but what if in that person's mind they're thinking you could be even more hurt if I show up and mess it up, or I cannot handle the judgment and pressure of getting it wrong, so I stay away. Like there are all types of reasons why people aren't in other people's lives, and my goal isn't to make excuses as much as it is to offer perspective, because as a single mother who's going to have to raise your children, I think it's important that you have language that helps the child to see the person as a person and not an icon or a figure or someone who was without flaws and should be able to show up without jacking things up. Because the truth is, sometimes if the parent did show up, you would be more wounded than if they stay away. But all of that is perspective. I hope that made sense. Sherelle says, God protecting your son so your child's father won't expose him to toxic things. Vanessa says, you are spot on. Sarah Ashley says, the child can see the absence but not fully feel the blow of the absence if you're intentional about creating an atmosphere for him that he is ignorant to what he can be lacking. For sure. I think to add to that, and then I'll move on to the next question, culture, school, life is going to make him feel like he's at a deficit. And so your goal before he's even exposed to what could be a deficit is to help him see that everyone has a different meaning of family. Everyone's life is different, but at the end of the day, we all have the same shot at being whole. It is our choices that make the difference. And right now your dad may have not made the choice to be here, but that doesn't have anything to do with the choices that you can make with your time, your character, your integrity, and teaching him early on what it means to take care of his toys, to take care of his rooms. It's yours, so you've got to take care of it. You asked for this, so you've got to take care of it. Those are the small things that we can do even at 4 that teaches them responsibility and integrity and character, that subconsciously says to them, if you do this, you have to take care of it. And those are just little things that you can do to maybe to break that curse. Nikki says, coming to terms with the fact that it was their best is hard, but it's the fact, especially when they have multiple children. My dad had 7 of us in different cities. Karen says, that's true. My daughter's father choosing to not be in her life, I believe, was a better decision. She is thriving great without him. I think he would have constantly disappointed her. Okay. All right, next question. Hi, Sarah. I listen to your podcast faithfully and also all of your sermons and PT sermons. I pray this gets to you. And I'll try to keep it short. First, I would like to admit that I am broken, and I believe it stems from sexual abuse by 2 family members. I haven't told my mom about it, and I have been holding on to this heavy secret for years. It started when I was 9. I'm now 31. But I did let her know when I do see her, she lives in UK, that I have something to tell. I had a dream about it, and it was weighing heavily on my heart to tell her. My dad wasn't much of a father figure as I would have expected him to be. The men that I've dealt with filled my voids of loneliness because that's what I knew at that time, one of them being married. Where I am now in life, I feel empty, lost, and definitely confused. I recently decided to walk away from a situation I should have never put myself in. I was Eving at the moment. He was in a relationship with 2 kids and had a third. I knew and still decided to play with the devil. I had a long talk with myself and decided to walk away. I was in my feelings and I felt drained. I never should have let it gotten that far, let alone went down that road with him. I was emotionally attached because the flesh was so lustful. I still think about those moments and I pray for healing every day. I pray my mind is renewed, but sometimes I feel God has turned away from me. Please, Sarah and the delegation, help me. If you said that you felt like you were Eving at that moment, then I want you to listen to Hey You Messy edition from January. Because even when Eve was Eving, God got down in that mess with her. He said, what's happening here? Who told you to eat from that fruit? Here are the consequences, but this is how you can recover. We cannot penalize ourselves for the moments where we were like Eve in the garden, in an atmosphere, in an environment where we knew better but didn't do better, and think to ourselves that just because I lost access to the garden doesn't mean I lost access to God. I feel like preaching, all right? But you can make a decision and there can be consequences from that decision that require that you lose access to certain things. Not God. Maybe you lose access to a certain person. Maybe you lose access to a certain feeling or emotion that felt soothing for the time that you were in. Maybe you lose access to that. But at the end of the day, you don't lose access to God and what God shows you how to do. What his spirit leads you into doing is how to receive what you were getting from the garden, but in a new, even healthier way than you were receiving it before. I just want you to know you haven't lost access to God. God hasn't turned his back on you, but maybe you've turned your back on God. Maybe you feel so much shame. Maybe you feel so much remorse. Maybe you feel so much regret that it's hard for you to even turn and look at God. But I want you to know that God is literally wherever you are. It is just coming to a place where you awaken yourself to the awareness of God's love, no matter where you are. When we talk about accepting confidence, that confidence is not in what we can do or how well we behaved. That confidence is knowing that we are loved by a Savior who literally would get on the cross and die for us so that we would have another chance to do it right It doesn't mean that we just do whatever we want to. It means we have another chance to do it right. And even in our best intentions, when we end up doing it wrong, guess what? There's another chance to do it right. Until now, and the day you go home to be with Jesus, there's another chance to do it right. And I just think it's important for you to know that God hasn't turned his back on you. Maybe you've turned your back on him, and who could blame you? I've been there myself, where I felt like God don't want to have nothing to do with me because I barely want anything to do with myself. But just because you don't want anything to do with you doesn't mean God doesn't want something to do with you. The hardest person it is to tell our story to is ourself. So I want to thank you for sharing your story with me, even anonymously. I want you to know that even in reciting that story, that you begin to look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, I dare you to not look at yourself with shame, to not look at yourself with regret, but to look at yourself through the eyes of love. To recognize that a girl who was sexually abused, who was abandoned, who was rejected, has been looking for love. And she's been looking for love so much that she didn't care if she got pieces of it from someone else's husband or pieces of it from someone else's man. And now it's time for you to love that girl to wholeness. To say, I love you, but you don't have to eat from this bin, from this pigsty anymore. I love you, but you don't have to accept this garbage. I love you, little girl. So let me wash your face. Let me brush your hair. And let me show you how to show up in the world in spite of what you've gone through. Love that girl. Don't demonize her. Don't tear her down. Love her. Embrace her. And show her that it's time to grow up now. That it's time to get therapy. That it's time to get help. That it's time to start making healthy decisions. Just because someone victimized you doesn't mean you have to stay a victim. But just like a gunshot wound victim or someone else who's been stabbed in a physical way, if you're no longer going to be a victim, you're going to have to get the help and tools to help you heal. I believe this is just the beginning, and that from this place, you'll be able to really embark on a journey of healing. But see yourself as a little girl, a 9-year-old girl who's looking for someone to tell her that she's loved, that she's cared for, and that she's protected. And then you allow God, the Holy Spirit, to work through you and saying those words to that little girl. And bring her to the place where the 31-year-old woman is now. Delegation. What say ye? Michelle says, thank you, Jesus. Ariel says, it's time to start making healthy decisions. Yes, end of an era. Whew, you got to watch that message on YouTube. End of an era. I hope it was good. Vania says, whoo, I feel like crying. Rain says, yes, healing her inner child will be vital. Start there. There is a part of you that is 9 years old. You're 9 years old because life's changed for you at 9 years old. And at 9 years old, life knew that it was wrong and you knew that it was wrong, but you kept growing physically, but you never got to figure out, how do I process what just happened to me? That's the same thing, totally different circumstance. I wasn't sexually abused, but at 13 years old, I knew something had gone wrong, right? And I kept growing, but I never did the work to figure out what had went wrong. How did I end up here? What are these feelings? It was so overwhelming, but I was looking just like you for someone to tell me, fix me, heal me, make me feel better, make me feel good. And it wasn't until I started looking at myself where I said, this is who you are. And not with shame, but with like, can you love her? If this is who you are, and nothing ever changes, can you find a way to love yourself? If you're the 9-year-old girl who got sexually abused, if you're the 13-year-old girl who got pregnant, can you find a way to love her? Can you find a way to love that part of you that was addicted, that part of you that went to prison? This is who you are. We're not talking about make-believe. We're talking about this is who you are. And my question for you is, can you find a way to love her? And you cannot love the person you will not look at. And sometimes the person we need to see more than anything is ourselves. And so when we start praying, God, can you show me who I am? It's, God, can you show me how to look at me through love? and not through pain and not through regret and not through hurt and not through brokenness and not through trauma? Can you show me how to look at me through love? And to worship from that place and pray from that place and speak from that place, because I can tell you, God has not changed his mind about you. No more than he changed his mind about Eve. Eve messed up in the garden, and God was like, all right, bet. I'm going to move you from the garden. I'm going to put the serpent on his belly. You are going to have some consequences, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure there is a way for you to come out of this brokenness that you are in if you would just trust my word. And so, sis, I'm asking you, can you trust God when he says, I love you? Can you trust God when he says, I can restore you? Can you trust God when he says, I am your redeemer? Can you trust God when he says that you are worth dying for so that the best version of you can live? Can you trust God? And that is on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now, Zola says, I recall I had to go on fasting to walk away from that little girl who was hurt and abused as well. Need to let that little girl go so you can be 31, clothed in strength and honor. God is waiting on you to come into real love and to see who he's called you to be. Seek who you are through God's eyes. You'll be whole and healed by it. This actually makes me happy that one of our sponsors is BetterHelp, because in talking about counseling and therapy and looking at that little girl, I cannot think of a better opportunity to talk about therapy. And I don't even have to transition into this one, because we all know how powerful therapy is. Having a safe space to rehearse our narrative, to look for the flaws in our narrative, and to grow into a healthier narrative is exactly what BetterHelp is there to do. And so if you're finding that there's something that's interfering with your happiness, that's interfering with your peace, you can start communicating in under 24 hours. That means you can get help immediately. Maybe you don't want to look someone face to face, but you do want to have a moment where you can just spill your guts without judgment. Maybe you're wondering, do I tell my mom? Do I tell my dad? Do I tell anyone what happened to me? Let's start first with telling a therapist. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they can make it easy and free to change. And they also make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available, which means you have no choice. I don't even want to hear, because y'all be saying no to therapy and therapy is expensive. Like, you already know how much it costs and you haven't even done the work. And this just takes that excuse away, because it says financial aid is available. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. So licensed professional counselors who specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, trauma, which is what we just got finished talking about, family conflict, self-esteem, and grief. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/evolve. Join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp.com/evolve. Kay Lauren says, do they take Medicaid? I'm not sure about that, but you can download the app and it'll tell you everything that you need to know about that. Okay, Saints. I have one more snack for you. I got you. Okay, so child, accepting confidence. I feel like I already gave a snack, but okay, so our word of the week and what we're focusing on accepting is confidence. I wrote some notes down. I want to pull them up because I feel like it's super pivotal to where we are. Okay. So when it comes to accepting confidence, as I kind of mentioned, like I said, it kind of bled over into my snack a little bit, into the response to that question. I've been thinking a lot about this and this idea that confidence is readily available to us. It's just, will we give ourselves permission to receive it? In little things like in body positivity, it's like I'll be confident in my body when I lose X amount of weight. But the reality is that, like, there are people who are your size or bigger who have said, I'm confident in the body that I am in right now, which means there is the ability to have confidence, but there is a mental barrier that keeps us from laying hold of it. How else does that show up? I'll tell you, this morning I woke up, I was rested, I was excited. I felt like today is a good day. I got to spend some morning time with my husband, and usually, like, I make his breakfast, I go and run on the treadmill. We kind of go our separate ways in the house, but this morning we got to connect a little bit, and there was a part of me that was cautiously optimistic because I didn't want to feel confident that the day was going good and not be braced for if it took a turn. And I realized that I spend so much of my life being cautiously optimistic, where I didn't want to trust the good things and I didn't want to trust that things would stay steady. And in the process of doing that, I lost the opportunity to be confident in the good things and confident about what is taking place that is going well. And so my challenge to you is to be present in your life, to not walk around cautiously optimistic, waiting on the next shoe to drop. But when you have pockets of peace, when you have pockets of joy, when you have pockets of presence, to really dig into those, to breathe those in, because your soul will know, it will become confident that this too shall pass. How else can we come to a place where we are confident that this too shall pass unless we have seen it pass before? When you've had trauma or disappointment after disappointment, it teaches you to live life guarded. And the only problem with living life guarded is that we miss the opportunity to let the good things in, to let the incredible things rest in our spirit. And so, yes, whatever you're going through shall pass. And yes, you're going to get over it. But the truth is also that I want you to breathe in those great moments, because your confidence is going to be in the consistency of God. Your confidence is going to be in the faithfulness of God. And you will be able to look at whatever season you're in with the confidence that I'm going to get through this, because you know without a shadow of a doubt that you've gotten through it before. So no more living life cautiously optimistic. Instead, be present. Okay? Cassandra says, be present in your life. Wow. Jasmine says, wow, I needed this. I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you this story real fast. So, we had we had Minnie Mouse, come by and do a little dance with Ella. And then we decided we would all get in the pool, and that would just kind of be Ella's thing. Well, my husband and Kenzie went to the store to get one thing, and they came back with this inflatable bull, okay? This like inflatable bull riding thing that you're supposed to like hop on. Y'all, it's a mess. Grown folks hopping on an inflatable bull to see if you can stay on top of it. And then other people come and they shake on it. Everyone in the family had gotten on it. And it was time for me to get on it. And I'm like, you know what? Sis is hanging on to this 185, but sis is not trying to hop on this bull. First of all, I have to tell you, not the most flattering sight seeing people hop on this bull. Things are jiggling. They're shaking. You cannot suck it in. And you're trying to keep from tipping over. I can't keep my stomach sucked in and hop on the inflatable bull. And then the kids were like, please, mom, please, mom, please, mom. And then I started realizing that I was going to scar them for life if I didn't get on the inflatable bull, but I did not want to scar them for life by getting on the inflatable bull. Your girl gets on the bull, and I stayed on that bull, just so you know. If any was wondering how it went, I managed to stay up. And in the process of staying up, I had a really good time. And we all went on, and are they judging my body? Are things jiggling? The cellulite is happening. Like, what is going on? I wasn't worried about any of those things because I was having a good time, and I was thinking to myself, how often do we hide or shrink because we want to have a false sense of security instead of being confident in the skin that we're in? And, that was a nice little lesson for me, because I would have missed out on having a good time by trying to protect what I considered the fragility of my confidence, instead of confidence being, this is who I am, this is what I got, and there it is. All right. Tiffany says, does sound fun, girl. You got to let it out sometimes. Yes, I did. Okay. XOXOCC said, you had to do it for the one time. Not only did I do it for the one time, I did what needed to be done. I stayed up there. All right. So yes, that is my snack for on today. And can I tell you all something? This is something that I feel like is a full circle moment. If you saw the message, What was the name of my message that I just preached where I showed the note in the car? Uh, Come on, the note that I wrote in the car. Yeah, I wrote it to my mom. I was like 12 or 14 weeks pregnant. I shared this note. I don't know if you guys heard this message. It's on YouTube. It's the Stone Cold. Stone Cold is the name of it. So I talked about listening to Kirk Franklin and feeling the presence of God so strong, and how I couldn't wait for the time when I could tap into that for myself. And like, again, I was 13 years old, 12 or 14 weeks into my pregnancy. And so it is with that introduction that I am glad to say that Kirk Franklin has a podcast coming out. Full circle is that I went from trying to tap into the presence to talking about Kirk Franklin on my podcast that God built with the anointing he put on my life. And now I get to push someone who helped me tap into the presence of God. Kirk Franklin has a podcast coming out. It's called Good Words with Kirk Franklin, and it welcomes people from every cross section of life seeking inspiration and empowerment through intimate conversations exploring faith, redemption, and the realities of today's world. Kirk invites us to see ourselves in the shared moments between him and his guests. The show provides a fun and energetic outlet to lift people up and share trials and tribulations. Okay, guests includes Chance the Rapper, Pharrell, Her, Her, Kelly Rowland, and Glennon Doyle. So many more special guests are going to be sliding through. New episodes every Tuesday. I want you to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Again, it is called Good Words with Kirk Franklin, and you do not want to miss it. Okay. I love y'all. I will see you next week. I am so sorry about all the technical difficulties, but we be on it the best way we can. Okay. God, in your presence is the confidence, the strength, the focus, and the strategy we need in order to become all that we were meant to be on this earth. So help us to shed the skin of who we were, who we used to be, and to even shed the skin of who we want to be until we are down to nothing but what you place on us. And when you place it on us, we will be confident in that. We will be confident because we know who sent us, who covered us, and who breathed his breath so that we could perform whatever is ahead of us. God, I thank you that you are healing trauma, that you are healing wounds, that you are showing us how to love ourselves even in the midst of our brokenness. Father, I pray for every person listening that they would come into the awareness of your love, of your grace, of your ability to make all things new. We turn ourselves over to you. It's Monday, it's Wednesday, it is whenever we're listening to this podcast, and we still need you. So we receive you. In Jesus' name, amen. I love y'all.